The first thing you hear is the breath, slow, ragged, pulled through cracked lips. Then the thump in the chest, steady but heavy, echoing like a fist against a metal door. Before you even see the battlefield, you feel it. The pressure, the weight, the moment before life changes or ends. And as the dust settles over a broken stretch of earth, you notice what shouldn't be possible. A single soldier standing in the open, silhouetted by fire, refusing to move until everyone else gets out alive. Most people never hear this part of the story, the part beneath the headlines and speeches, the part that lives in the quiet corners of memory, where the ones who carry the burden never talk unless you ask the right way. These are America's shadow warriors, not the ones in uniforms at parades, not the faces on recruitment posters, but the people who walk into chaos with no promise they'll walk back out. They operate in deserts, jungles, frozen valleys, and forgotten alleys. They move through worlds most will never see, and they do it knowing their names may never be spoken outside a closed room. You can picture one of them now, crouched behind a shattered wall. The night is black enough to swallow him whole. The only light comes from the dull glow of a burning convoy a few hundred yards away. Smoke rolls low to the ground, carrying the smell of diesel, copper, and dirt. Frost clings to his gloves even though the air feels hot. Time warps here. Seconds stretch. Minutes collapse. He closes his eyes for half a heartbeat, just long enough to steady his hands. There's a tremor in his fingers, not from fear, but from the weight of choosing when to move, when to risk everything, when to pull others out of the fire. Somewhere beyond the ridge, artillery rumbles. It's distant, almost polite, but he feels it in his ribs. That low vibration that crawls through your bones and makes you remember you're made of fragile things. He adjusts the straps on his pack, tightens the band around his arm, and listens for the signal in the dark. It's quiet enough to hear gravel shifting under his own boots. Quiet enough to hear a teammate's breath catch 3 steps behind him. Quiet enough to feel the moment right before the storm hits. And then the flash. A brief, violent bloom of orange behind the hill. Dust kicks up, filling the air like a wall. Sound vanishes. Every instinct screams to move, to duck, to run. But he stays locked where he is, mind clear, body ready. He feels the heartbeat again his own at first, then the rhythm of the team sensing with his. Each breath stutters back to life. Each muscle pushes past the instinct to hide. This is what they've trained for. To stand when everything tells them to fall. You can almost see his eyes in that moment, squinting through gray haze, searching for shapes that don't belong. A door blown off its hinges, a glint of metal under rubble, a trail of footprints leading into darkness. He studies each line on the ground like it's the last message he'll ever read, because sometimes it is. Sometimes the difference between life and loss is noticing one broken twig, one misplaced stone. The smallest things matter when the world is trying to erase them. 5 miles away, another unit moves through a ravine so narrow it feels like the earth is closing around them. The air is thick with dust kicked up by rotors hours earlier. Their faces shine faintly with sweat and sand. Nobody speaks. They don't need to. They've walked this path before, just under different stars. Every sound slices the dark. A snapping branch, a quick breath, a single pebble tumbling down the slope. Each one presses against their nerves like a blade. They keep moving anyway. These warriors carry stories no one asked to hear. Stories that don't fit neatly into movies or speeches. They remember the weight of a friend slumped over their shoulder, boots dragging furrows across cold dirt. They remember the sting of smoke that clung to them for days. They remember the silence that follows a firefight, the kind that makes you realize how loud the world usually is. And they remember the strange calm that settles in the body at the worst possible times, how the mind narrows to one clear purpose: get them home. One soldier walks through the remains of a bombed-out village. Walls lean in impossible angles. Metal beams glow faintly from recent heat. Everything smells like burnt wood and sand and something he tries not to identify. He steps around a hole blown straight through the street, its edges smooth like melted glass. His boots crush bits of shattered tile, each crack echoing down empty alleys. His heart beats slow now, not from peace but from control. He knows there could be traps, signals, eyes watching from somewhere unseen. He keeps going. His gloves brush against the fallen door frame. Splinters catch on the fabric. He hears a buzz in his headset, muffled words layered with static. He nods even though no one can see him. Ahead, the road dips into a narrow passage where shadows cling to the walls. He pauses, not out of fear, but out of respect. This is where another team once vanished. It's where a friend of his took a final stand so others could escape. He inhales, steadies himself, and steps through. The least he can do is honor the path that costs so much. Far above him, a drone cuts across the sky with a soft hum. The wind carries sand into long, thin lines that look like they're trying to rewrite the landscape. The horizon is nothing but heat waves and faded memory. Yet he keeps scanning for movement, for the shape of something familiar or something dangerous. He tastes grit on his tongue. He feels the strap of his rifle dig into his shoulder. He shifts his weight and keeps going because that's what the job demands. Quiet determination, relentless motion. In another place, another time, a medic kneels beside a wounded soldier. The world around them rings with distant blasts. Dust drifts down like ash. The medic's hands move with practiced speed, wrapping, pressing, sealing. His mind is a tight tunnel. He hears the heartbeat through his gloves, slow, faint. Still there. He talks softly, not words of comfort, but of direction, clarity, action. He keeps the rhythm steady, keeps the air moving, keeps hope alive long enough for the helicopter to cut through the sky and land in a cloud of spinning sand. The medic's uniform is streaked with dirt and blood. His throat burns from running, but his eyes are steady. He lifts the stretcher with the help of another soldier, both moving like they've rehearsed this moment 100 times in the dark. The rotors beat the air so hard the ground shakes. They push forward anyway. They load their friend. They step back. They watch the bird rise until it's a dot swallowed by sky. Only then does the medic let his shoulders fall. These shadow warriors don't chase recognition. They don't wait for applause, and most never receive any. Their courage hides in the small moments, the ones that don't make it into documentaries or history books. The way they check a teammate's gear one last time before a mission. The way they share water in blistering heat. The way they stare at a map until every contour feels like the back of their own hand. The way they laugh quietly in a bunker to keep fear from taking over. Sometimes, between missions, they sit in the stillness of a temporary base. A small tent lit by a single dull bulb. A metal cup of lukewarm coffee in their hands. They listen to the hum of generators, the slow rip of tape sealing a crate, the distant thud of boots on gravel. Their bodies rest, but their minds stay wired, ready for the next call, the next briefing, the next moment when everything shifts. And when that moment comes, when the radio cracks alive with coordinates and code words, they rise without hesitation. Each step becomes a promise. Each breath becomes a reminder. They head toward the unknown with calm resolve. Not because they feel invincible, but because someone has to go. Someone has to stand between danger and those who cannot defend themselves. This isn't a story about glory. It's about grit. It is about the quiet strength that lives in the people who choose to walk into the storm. It's about the sacrifices no camera captures and the courage no metal can measure. It's about the ones who operate in the shadows so others can live in the light. And if you listen closely, you can hear what drives them. Not anger, not thrill, something deeper. A belief that even in the darkest places, duty matters. Loyalty matters. Life matters. They carry the belief like a torch through every silent night and every brutal dawn. These shadow warriors will never ask for praise. They'll never tell you how close they came to falling. But if you watch closely, if you study the way they move, the way they step forward when the world steps back, you'll see the truth. Some heroes are never seen, some stories are never told, and some sacrifices live forever in the silence between heartbeats.